Very good evening. Welcome to the State of Business on our television. I'm Sachin Ratnayaka. Let's look at the headlines first. No fuel shortage in the country, the government assures. Share the vaccine manufacturing technology with the regional countries, World Health Organization appeals. News in detail. Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Peiris told the United Nations Human Rights Council yesterday that Sri Lankan government will be rejecting any proposal for any external initiatives purportedly established by Resolution 46/1. Virtually addressing the UN Human Resource Council's 48th regular session, the minister pointed out that the external initiatives embarked upon without the cooperation of the countries concerned cannot achieve their stated goals and will be subjected to politicization.
Sri Lanka continues to investigate and prosecute the perpetrators of the appalling terrorist attack on Easter Sunday in 2019, complying with due process of law in all respects. As always, we will remain vigilant in combating terrorism and protecting Sri Lankans of all religions. Madam President, we reject the proposal for any external initiatives purportedly established by Resolution 46/1, while domestic processors are vigorously addressing the relevant matters. This will polarize our society as we experienced with Resolution 30/1. The Council must adhere to its founding principles. External initiatives embarked upon without the cooperation of the country concerned cannot achieve their stated goals and will be subject to politicization. The resources expended on this initiative are unwarranted, especially when they are urgently needed for humanitarian and other constructive purposes in many parts of the world.
The Foreign Affairs Minister, Professor Peiris, also assured the country's strong and continued cooperation with the UN Human Resource Council and the human rights systems mandated by the United Nations. He also briefed the session on what mission so far the Sri Lankan government has taken to par with the system.
Despite the daily challenges of the devastating COVID-19 pandemic, let me highlight the progress made in the domestic processes. The Office on Missing Persons, as its core function, is finalizing the list of missing persons in collaboration with other agencies. The Office for Reparations has processed 3,775 claims this year. The Office for National Unity and Reconciliation continues its 8-point action plan. The National Human Rights Commission is carrying on its mandate. A steering committee on SDG 16 is working towards enhancing peace, justice and strong institutions. A cabinet subcommittee was appointed to revisit the PTA and to bring it in line with international norms and best practices. A report will be submitted to the Cabinet of Ministers at the end of this month. An advisory board was appointed to look into cases of detention under the PTA and to make recommendations to deal with such cases expeditiously. Speedy disposal of cases under the PTA is also taking place. A commission of inquiry headed by a sitting judge of the Supreme Court was established to address issues on accountability and missing persons and to revisit recommendations by previous commissions. The COI submitted its interim report to the President. The final report will be submitted within the next 6 months.
Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana yesterday stressed that no fuel shortage in the country and no issues in the distribution of fuel. Cabinet spokesman Dr. Patirana told this to the media personnel yesterday during the weekly Cabinet media briefing.
මතුමා දැන් තෙල් වල හිඟයක් ඇති වෙනවා කියලා මතයක් ගොඩ වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒකත් එක්කම දැන් තෙල් බෙදා හැරීමේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා කියලා වාර්තා වෙනවා. ඒකත් එක්ක උදේ ගම්මන්පිල අමාත්‍යවරයා එමිර් රාජ්‍ය එක්ක කතා කරාලු ණය පදනම යටතේ දැන් තෙල් ගන්න. හැබැයි මිනිස්සු කියනවා අපි ගිහිල්ලා පෙට්‍රෝල් ෂෙඩ් වල ණයට ගත්තේ නැහැ පෙට්‍රෝල් කියලා. ඇත්තටම මේ ප්‍රශ්නය තුලදී මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ අමතක?
එවැනි තෙල් කිසිම හිගයක් මේ රට නැති බව ඉතාම පැහැදිලිව අපි වාර්තා කරනවා. කිසිදු අනියත බියක් ඇති කරගත යුතු නැහැ. ප්‍රවාහනාත් සංචිත රට තුල තිබෙනවා සහ ඉන්ධන ආනයන සඳහා අවශ්‍ය පිරිවැය දරන්න රජය සූදානම්ින් සිටිනවා. උදේ ගම්මන්පිල ඇමතුමාගේ සංචාරය සාම්ප්‍රදායික වෙන සංචාර කරනවා මෙම සැපයුම් රටවල් අතර. මිල පිළිබඳව සාකච්ඡා කරන්නටත් සහ එවැනි දීර්ඝකාලීන ණය ගිවිසුම් පිළිබඳවත් එම සාකච්ඡාවලදී කටයුතු සාකච්ඡා කරා. ඒ පිළිබඳ අවසන් තීන්දුවක් නැහැ. නමුත් ඒක දැනට පවතින තත්ත්වය යටතේ රටෙහි කිසිම තෙල්වල හිගයක් නොමැති බව ඉතාම පැහැදිලිව අපි සඳහන් කරනවා.
Stay tuned for more news. We'll be right back after a small commercial break.
අන්තර්ජාලය ෆයිබර් සමගින් බලකැන්වෙන තැන ඉස්සර වගේ නෙවෙයි දැන්. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වේගවත්ම සහ පුළුල්ම ප්‍රීමියම් ෆයිබර් අන්තර්ජාලය SLT මොබිටෙල් ෆයිබර්. දේශීය ෆයිබර් බලවේගය.
Welcome back to the State of Business. The government stated that the Rubber Research Institute is busy with global institutions to find a definite treatment for the fungal diseases which affect rubber production in the country. Plantation Industry Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana, representing the post-cabinet media briefing yesterday, said that there is no definite treatment found in the world so far for this.
This particular disease is reported in different parts of the world, including Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam and other countries where there are rubber plantations. Rubber Research Institute is also experimenting in relation to the disease and utilizing different mechanisms, including certain fungicides. But there is a practical difficulty because this disease is most of the time the fungus are on the downside of the leaves, and there are difficulties in relation to spraying mechanisms. It's a little difficult to curtail, as you know now. Yes, it is obviously affecting the productivity of the tree, but also the Rubber Research Institute at this particular moment, they are liaising with the other institutions worldwide to find out a definitive treatment for that. But as at now, there is no definitive treatment found in the world, but hopefully we should be able to find something sooner than later.
Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, requested all countries and manufacturers to share information on bilateral deals with Vaccine Access Organization of facilities such as COVAX and AVAD, the African Vaccine Acquisition Trust. WHO Director General stressed upon this in a media briefing held yesterday at WHO headquarters.
The longer vaccine inequity persists, the more the virus will keep circulating and changing, the longer the social and economic disruption will continue, and the higher the chances that more variants will emerge that render vaccines less effective. It was to avoid this situation that WHO, Gavi, CEPI, and UNICEF established COVAX last year to accelerate the development and equitable distribution of vaccines. So far, COVAX has shipped more than 260 million doses to 141 countries. But as you know, COVAX has also faced several challenges, with manufacturers prioritizing bilateral deals and many high-income countries tying up the global supply of vaccines.
Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Ghebreyesus, also stressed that he would stick to his job until he fulfills his responsibilities, even with the difficulties come across in his tenure.
We call on manufacturers to prioritize COVAX and AVAD. We call on countries that have already achieved high coverage levels to swap their near-term vaccine deliveries with COVAX and AVAD, to fulfill their dose-sharing pledges immediately, and to facilitate the sharing of technology, know-how, and intellectual property to support regional vaccine manufacturing. We call on all countries and manufacturers to share information on bilateral deals with COVAX and AVAD so we understand where vaccines are needed most, and to share information on supply and delivery projections so countries can be ready to immediately roll out vaccines when they land. And we call on all countries to recognize all vaccines with WHO emergency use listing. I may sound like a broken record. I don't care. I will continue to call for vaccine equity until we get it.
Stay tuned for stock updates. We'll be right back after a small commercial break.
SLT Mobitel Home Broadband within online learning සහ online working සඳහා ඇදහිය නොහැකි data දීමනා GB 30ක් රුපියල් 195යි GB 100ක් රුපියල් 490යි කාර්යාලයක් පාසලක් ගෙදරටම ගෙනෙන ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රමුඛතම ඉන්ටර්නෙට් සබඳතාවය SLT Mobitel එකම එක සබඳියාව.
Welcome back to the State of Business. Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The All Share Price Index gained 238.61 points to close at 8,931.21 and the S&P SL20 gained 78.85 points to close at 3,335.17. The turnover was 5.4 billion rupees and over 293 million shares were traded. Coming up next with foreign exchange rates.